Strype is a frame-based editor, so the most basic thing for us to learn is how to insert frames. We can see here in my code the blue bar, that is the frame cursor, and I can move the frame cursor up and down with my arrow keys. The frame cursor is the location where we will insert frames. We have now three options how we can insert a frame. First, we can click here in the frame palette. I can click on an if statement to get an if statement in here, or I can click on an assignment to get an assignment in here. And then I can, after doing this, of course, fill in the empty slots here in my statements. So clicking with the mouse is the first option. The second option is to use keyboard shortcuts. If I use my tab or space key, then I'm transferring focus here into the frame palette. You can see the frame palette has now focus, and now I can use the shortcut keys here for my frames. For example, I can see the F is a shortcut for 4. So if I now hit the F key, I get a for loop. So equally space equal sign gives me an assignment key, space I gives me an if statement, and so on. So second option, keyboard shortcuts, space and the frame shortcut. Third option, if I just start typing text at my frame cursor, I've got the frame cursor at my code and I just type if space. As soon as you hit the space, the system recognizes that you want an if frame and converts your input to an if frame. Or I can just type for and I get a for loop. Some symbols I can transfer instantly. So for example, if I hit an assignment symbol, it immediately knows that you want an assignment frame. And that alone is enough to then put in an assignment frame, which I can then fill in. So that is the basic insertion of frames. Our three options: clicking with the mouse, using space and a keyboard shortcut, or just typing the keyword. One little trick, or two little tricks that are worth knowing is, if you, let's say I delete my if statement here, if you select a couple of frames, and as many as you want, I just selected these frames using my shift arrow keys, and then you insert a compound frame like a loop or an if statement. So here now I'm using space I, then I'm surrounding the existing frames with an if statement. So that is a very useful thing to do. When you're deleting, of course here, if I am behind a frame and I backspace, the delete is the frame is gone, or if I'm in front of a frame and I use delete forward, the frame is gone. If I have an if statement, if I go behind the if statement and I backspace, the whole if statement is deleted. Let me just undo this. But if I am behind the header of an if statement and I use backspace here, only the if statement surround is deleted and the body is kept intact. This is also very useful to know. And the last thing I will show you is another little trick, because when we have a method call frame, we also have code completion, and you can invoke that both together. If you hit Control Space at the frame cursor, you get two things together. You get the insertion of a function call frame and the activation of code completion at the same time. So if I then start typing, normally, you can do that in 2 steps. If I do space C, that is a function call frame, and then Control Space inserts the code completion. But as I said, if you have if you hit Control Space, you get both. You get the function call frame and code completion in one go. And that is all there is to know about frame insertion. See you next time.